Greetings, YouTube. I'm sure that we've all encountered in our lives a situation where two people, yourself and someone else, have had a difference in style when it comes to doing something. And now sometimes that's a very minor thing, and sometimes it can be a significant thing. I mean, we're not talking about like monsters that put the toilet paper with them at the bottom. No, you don't do that. But no, I have a coworker, and he's a maintenance dude, and I happen to really like this guy, and we get along well, and I am glad that he is at the company, and I'm glad that I've dealt with him as a professional for, I guess almost 20 years now. I guess I have to ask him how long he's been there. But we had a run-in at work, and he and I kind of butted heads on something, and the reason we butted heads on something is because of my mental illness. Now, like I said, we all have different styles, and one of my style when I'm instructing someone, or I'm teaching them something, is to always explain to someone what's going to happen before it happens. We're going to do ABC, then I show them how to do ABC. And if something may be out of the ordinary, for example, I'm going to show you how to check something. It's going to make a big noise. Be prepared for the big noise. I then do the thing, make the big noise. I don't like to spring surprises on people. Whereas my coworker is more along the lines of just follow my instructions, and at the end, if he has gathered the information he needs, he will then tell you his conclusion. It's almost Sherlock Holmes in some ways. But he doesn't explain what he's doing prior to that final decision about what he has concluded. But since he's a maintenance guy, he knows far more about specific machines than I ever will, both in general, like hydraulics and electronics and things like that, but specifically about certain of the individual machines at work, particular ones I have not operated often, or even more than a few times. He just wants you to follow an instruction. So I had a male authority figure telling me to do something that made no sense to me. Now, people that have been following my channel, particularly the videos I talk about mental health and things like that and abuse, well, no, I was raised by a psychotic drunk of a father. My childhood was chaos. There was no pattern, there was no sense, no reason, no rhyme to my childhood. Even though as humans we search for those patterns, but there was no pattern. And so that creates a really bad environment for a kid. One of the worst you can create. An emotionally, mentally, and physically abusive household where there is no structure. On top of really high levels of discipline. It was not fun. So suddenly I had this male authority figure telling me I needed to do this. But that makes no sense to me. Why would you do that? I need you to do this. And then boom, boom. And since I had to acquiesce to his request, if I was going to get any information out of him or I was going to get my machine to work, I did so. But in the process, it really pushed the buttons in my head and stressed me out and cranked my anxiety levels to 11. Now, once he got to the end of this and said, okay, it was this, this, and this, it made perfect sense. And if he had said, I want you to do this because I think this thing right here isn't working, I would have understood. No anxiety levels, no stress. But it's not my coworker's responsibility to be in charge of my mental illness. And he may not have even known about my mental illness. So it isn't his responsibility. That's on me. That's the burden I bear as someone that suffers from mental illness. But it was very unpleasant. So after we had some time at work, I talked to him and I said, hey, do you got a minute? I said, I'm going to tell you something that's purely personal. You don't have to listen to it. And he explained abusive childhood, male authority figure, chaos. That's not my style. And I find it very stressful. And that's why I reacted the way I reacted. And he explained how he reacts, how he handled things, his style, which is, again, the polar opposite of how my style is. And then he was nice enough to, accept my explanation. He said, I understand. He wanted to know if we were okay. I said, yes, we are. We are okay, because this is on me. This has got nothing to do with you. So we were able to work this out, which is great. But for that moment, it was really hard not to feel broken. But I'm not. I just have a mental illness. So when you see someone react in a way that you don't think makes any sense, like, why are they getting all upset about that? Because you don't know the burden they carry. You may not see it. You may be completely unaware of it, particularly if it's a stranger in public. You don't know their burden. They could be carrying a mountain on their shoulders and you don't know it. They could be carrying a weight on them that makes them freeze or run or get angry in ways that make no sense to you. And it doesn't have to make any sense to you. It may not make any sense to them. But you could be looking at the collateral damage of a lifetime of abuse. Child abuse, abuse as an adult, from a domestic partner, the reaction of a minority from a lifetime of systemic racism or bigotry or homophobia or transphobia, and suddenly they just snap. Or they shut down. Because it's just one more goddamn instance of somebody being an asshole to them. And the most we can do at those moments is empathy, sympathy, and compassion. Reaching out to them. But if we can't do that, at least try not to add to their burden. You don't have to emote to everybody. You don't have to extend the hand of compassion to everybody if you don't want to. But you can at least not add to their burden. So, I implore you, if you see someone reacting in a way that you don't think makes sense, remember you may not know the burden they bear. And it's important to remember that. Because everybody's suffering. The Buddha was right in that one. It's the human universal experience. We all just do it in different ways. Some of us react strongly to things that seem very, very innocuous. Just a request to do something. But it's a request that makes no sense to them, and so they react strongly like I did yesterday. So this has been my mental health moment, I guess. Thank you for listening. I hope maybe it might show you a little insight into how other people work. Maybe a bit of an insight in how I do. Literally and figuratively. So, happy Friday.